Okay, hi everybody. We are here with Galaga world champion Andrew Laidlaw at his home. And where are you at, Andrew?
Kirkland, Washington.
Excellent, excellent. And as most of us know, you were the Galaga champion before. And actually, on camera to me at the Hall of Fame, you had actually kind of expressed some discomfort with being inducted into IVGOF when you weren't the current record holder, but you seemed to put that to rest. So, anything you want to add about that?
Well, yeah, that was when Walter asked us to come out there. We it didn't really make sense to us at first because we weren't current record holders, but I guess that wasn't the reason they brought us in there. So I tell you what, me and Steve both felt when we came back to Washington after the end of the summer that we needed to get back on top with some records, and he beat me to it. He got his right at the end of the summer, and then mine followed shortly after.
Very cool. Yeah, you're mentioning, of course, Steve Wiebe. You guys live pretty close to each other, right?
Yeah, Steve's from Redmond. I'm from Kirkland. Those two cities are just right next to each other.
Mentioned you had mentioned Steve Wiebe in your friendship. I'm as people can probably see wearing the Team Wiebe T-shirt, which was
Yeah,
of course made by you. You are
absolutely.
the creator of these, correct?
Yes, that's correct. Absolutely. That's how I met Steve. I took a box of those over to the school where he teaches after I saw the King of Kong. I went home right after that. I own a screen printing and embroidery business. So
Oh,
right after I saw the movie, I went home and created that logo, took a whole box of those over to his school so he could hand those out to students and whatnot. And we just subsequently became friends since then.
That's cool.
His school that he teaches at is about a half a mile from my house. So
Oh,
pretty
really?
close. Yeah.
These were a pretty big hit at the IVGOF too. A lot of people were admiring them. I believe you had
Yeah.
one on. Steve Sanders was wearing one for a little bit too, as
Yeah,
a
actually,
bit
he
of a
was.
joke.
Yeah. In fact, he held one up in a press conference with Billy Mitchell as kind of a gag. Billy was talking about his new world record, and Steve slowly holds up a Team Weeby T-shirt. That was pretty funny. I don't know if you were there for that.
I was there for that. Yeah, that was pretty funny. Nick unfortunately missed it. This is the first time you get to see
yeah, how you
Nick.
doing?
Although,
Absolutely. We
although,
talked about Nick, right?
yeah, you and Phil did do a little segment though on about Nick and his
Yes.
inability to play the game of Galaga.
Yeah, Nick, I hear you're a big Galaga fan.
I am a huge Galaga fan, and I used to think I was good at Galaga until I saw the scores you guys put down, and I was like, oh, never mind, I'm not very good at Galaga. But I used to be, I
Right.
was always the best out of our group of friends, but now since they all came back from Iowa, I am no longer the best of my group of friends.
Well,
Yeah,
you'll get back up there. Do you have your own machine?
I do not have my own machine as of yet. I would love to get one, but right now I'm just not in the position to really. Actually, I just don't have anywhere to put one. So,
I hear you. They take up a lot of room.
is you obviously just beat the world record? Is that the machine behind you that you beat it on?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
that's sweet.
what's that other cabinet next to it?
You know, that's it was a I've turned it into a multi-cade. I stripped everything out of it. It was a game called Looping. I don't know if you ever
Mm-hmm.
heard of it,
Yes.
by Venture Arts, and I got one in mint condition on Craigslist for 150 bucks. I was only after the cabinet, and right after I gutted the thing out and threw all the electronics away, some collector called me offering me a fortune for a looping machine, which I had never heard of, but everything was in the dumpster at that point.
That's
So
too
we
bad.
turned it into a 40 and one. This is the game Steve comes over and teaches me Donkey Kong on. So
Oh,
Excellent.
sweet.
yeah,
Yeah, and you guys had done a little teasing with Steve at in Iowa, talking about how he's not exactly the king of Galaga.
well, Steve comes over here and he tries to play Galaga and he's not good at it, but that's okay. He's fantastic at Donkey Kong, right? So he's horrible at Galaga, and he when he gets double ships, he he finds it harder to move through the bullets, and it's just because he hasn't spent enough time doing it. So he starts talking about there should be a world record where you just play with one ship, and Steve, I don't think Steve gets it there. A one, that's not going to last very long. You get into the higher stages, one ship is futile. So
And I have a feeling that if you or Phil Day or John McAllister decided to play with only one ship, that you'd probably throw down a pretty big record pretty soon, pretty quick.
You would just die so fast. You gotta have two ships to just slaughter all those bugs, you know. In fact, you know, let's talk about the record that I set. In fact, one of the things about that record that was a big accomplishment for me and was kind of a goal. I didn't think it was really going to happen, but it did. Was I was trying to beat Phil's score without losing a ship, and I felt if I did that, I would really be in a position to run the score up. So I was having a great game. I surpassed his score by over 1 million points before I lost a ship. But just to show you how brutal that game is, I lost all remaining 5 ships in the next 300,000 points.
Wow.
So that just goes to show you. And the point I was making there is that when you only have one ship, just trying to get double ships back when you're that high up, you lose multiple ships just trying to get double ships back. So any type of a world record with just one ship would be pretty pointless.
There are a few other settings on the game. Have you ever considered possibly going for the marathon record, or there's also a rapid fire setting?
Yeah, after I broke the record recently, I thought maybe I'll give the rapid fire a try. I've seen it, the score posted at TG, and I couldn't really tell a difference in the machine firing any faster. I couldn't literally feel a difference at all. I don't know if, you know, maybe my board's broken or something. I don't know, but it fired at exactly the same rate. So I was like, well, this seems kind of weird. I don't know. I didn't. What it would do is if you held the fire button down, it would continue to throw bullets out at an even pace. But that pace is not going to help you because things get in between that firing sequence. So I didn't find that to be helpful either. So rapid fire, no. Marathon, that is an amazing record that was set, you know, more than almost 30 years ago now, I believe. And it's huge. It's 16 million. And for those who don't know, you can win as many free ships as the game will provide you, up to 1 million, and then you play off those as long as you possibly can. Galaga doesn't award free ships after 1 million, so I think it's in the neighborhood of about 20 ships that you could accrue, and you run with that for as long as you can. And a gentleman named Steve Krogman, back in the 80s, I believe, 89 if I'm not mistaken, ran that up to 16 million, and that is very impressive. I do believe if you look at my last record, 4.5 million on only 5 ships. So, you know,
you're on pace.
I'm on pace, but boy, that's but you get tired after, you know, 10 or 12 hours. I see these guys that break these records that are, you know, 2 or 3 days of continuous playing, and I'll tell you, I'm not built for that. I don't know how they stay awake that long, you know.
Yeah, we've interviewed a couple of them, and I always say the same thing you just said. I'd be falling asleep.
I know, and you really, with the Galagas, you really want to know that you're on pace for it, because I think we talked about this at Iowa. We tried to figure out how long we guesstimate that would be, and I think it's about 13 to 14 hours. So, I mean, you don't want to get to 11 hours and say, well, gee, let me give that another try. I mean, it's an all-day thing to begin with, so you definitely want to get this tournament setting where you try to run up as many as you can on just 5 ships is great practice for the marathon record.
We were talking about Phil Day a little bit ago. Unlike some of the other, famous rivalries in competitive gaming, you and Phil have a pretty close relationship, right?
Phil's a really nice guy, and back when he was trying to break my record, he called me from Australia, and he introduced himself. He's like, and he's got that accent, which I won't try to impersonate here, but he calls me up. I'm going to break your record. I'm really close. I said, hey, how can I help you out? What kind of tips can I give you? And we talked about his game, what he was doing. He sent me a DVD of his gameplay, and I just said, hey, you You just got to have the right game. I mean, your skills are all there, and you'll do it. You'll do it, and he did. And I was very happy for him. And we got to meet each other in Iowa. We hung out for the time that we were down there, had a blast, had a really good time. He's a really, really nice guy. And when I broke my record recently, he called me right up, congratulated me, and he thought that would stand for a while. He wrote an article in which he tried to predict who the next Galaga record holder would be. A gentleman whose name escapes me right now, and I apologize, but I guess he's very, very good. And yes, and he's chasing the record now. So I'm going to be excited to see him get it if he does. And I know he's practicing for it now. But when I saw that article, I mean, that put a fire under me for sure. I mean, I pulled the Galaga out, and I'm like, Phil Day and his prediction are going down. You know? Absolutely. So Phil indirectly helped me a lot.
Are you still, I know you've beaten the record and you have it, but do you still play it like every once in a while, or?
You know, I haven't played it once since I broke that record, because in my case, I was trying twice a day for about 3 months until I did it. And you just tend to walk away from it until you have that challenge, that next challenge of a score to take down. But I do want to push myself I'd like to run my TGTS record up another 2 million. You know, I thought I was going to do that in the game that I had, you know, having beaten his score by over 1 million and having not lost a ship. But within 300,000 points, I lost them all right away. So, you know, once you know how it is with the games that you play. Anywhere you've been once, you know you can get back there again. So it's a matter of getting back there again, and then just having a little better luck. I'd like to raise that score by about 2 more million, and then I think I would be done with that. I would go for the marathon at that point for sure.
But Phil Day has told me on record in Iowa, and actually off record since then, that he claims he's retired. And that he's not going to be trying to take this back at all. Do you believe him?
Well, I think that's a little silly, but he may actually never want to play the game again. I don't know. I don't know why he wouldn't want to. He got a lot of goodwill and a lot of. I mean, the whole thing with these video games. There's a lot of joy that comes from breaking these records. The people you meet, the places that you get to go. Being in Iowa was this summer, and I know Phil will still be at all those, but I know he wants to come back there with a record. I believe he does. He doesn't have a machine right now. He was in Australia when he broke the record. He has since moved to Canada, so he doesn't actually have a machine. So he'd need to get a machine. But he has told me recently that he does have his eye on the marathon record. That's the one he wants to go for.
Well, like you had said, that is a pretty impressive score on that marathon one.
Yeah, it
Not
is.
Not an easy thing to chase.
It's doable. I know it's doable. I know it can be done, but it isn't going to be easy, and it has stood for a great number of years. What do you know the actual date on that? It escapes my mind.
I don't off the top of my head, but I know it's been decades though.
Yeah, it absolutely has. So it's a very, very that's a good record. I like in the King of Kong, they mentioned Galaga right up front as one of the top 5 arcade games. So that record right there for me is something that I really want to break.
Yeah, well, and came out the same year as Donkey Kong, so we have its 30th anniversary this year, along with Ms. Pac-Man's another good classic. Those three. I'll turn 30 this year. So are you going to be appearing at IVGOF this year at all to celebrate that?
Yeah, I am. Walter sent me an email the other day that was very nice and asked me if I would serve to help select incoming inductees for this next year. And I don't know if that involves coming out there, but I told him I'd like to participate in that. And yeah, I would be there this summer. Are you planning on being there?
Oh yeah, we will definitely.
Yeah,
be
we will
there.
definitely be there.
Absolutely. Yeah, I had a lot of fun there. I had a lot of fun, and when I left there last year, I planned on coming back right away. Met a lot of people, had a great time.
Well, Now, most champions I've noticed usually answer no to the question I'm about to ask, but have you ever considered trying to go for a Galaga record on any other platforms at all? You know, a console
Yeah,
or
yeah,
anything?
every single one of them actually. I'd like, you know, I don't mean to sound arrogant, but I would like to see my name listed under all the platforms for that game. Why wouldn't you? I mean, I'm a one-trick pony. I play only one game. I'm not versatile in a bunch of other games, and I wish I was good at Robotron or Defender, but I'm not. So I'm curious to see. I don't know if you guys have tried Galaga on Xbox Live. I haven't given that a try, but I'm wondering how close it plays to the real thing, and I think that's one that I would like to try to get the score on as well.
It's a really good mod. It is.
Is it?
Yeah, it's close. It's really
Yeah.
good.
Now let me ask you guys a question. Why do you think you hear no from most of the other people? Just because they only like the arcade stand-up version? They're frustrated. The other games seem like a knockoff to them, and they don't play the same.
You know, it's there seems to it's some of that, I think. I don't know if some of them are just really focused on keeping their world record, you know, so then if it gets broken, they'll be, you know, ready and willing to go out there and get it. Or
Yeah.
if I think that maybe for some people there's a, I don't want to say a level of arrogance, but an air about, you know, when you have it on the arcade, what's the point of having it on the NES, or what's the point of having it on the Genesis when I got the real record?
I think it's the
Right.
old stigma that just survives from like 30 years ago, especially with the the older players who do still look at the console systems as the inferior version of all these games. So I would guess that most of them just think, "What's the point?" That's what I think.
But I'm always with you. I always think it'd be cool, you know, if you're the Galaga champion, wouldn't it be cool to have your name listed under the NES and the Genesis and the Atari and the,
Nintendo
you know.
64.
Absolutely.
Another cool one is they do have a separate setting for that 1981 machine, which is supposed to be very close to the original arcade.
Which machine is that you're referring
Miss
to?
Pac-Man one.
Yeah, the Class of
Right.
'81, it's called, which is a Galaga Ms. Pac-Man combo machine.
Right, right. Yeah, I've played on that. What they've done with that machine, you know, they have one up at the movie theater by my house. It's on a 25-inch monitor, I believe, and they don't seem to have made any type of adjustment for the video. I think they just extrapolated or you know, stretched the picture out to fit the screen, and it looks pretty. It's kind of pixelated. I mean, it plays fine, it's fun, but the video image on that really isn't. I'm quite surprised they didn't do something about that, but. Such as it is a fun game to play.
Sure.
Absolutely.
I believe that was the version you and I were playing on after hours in the restaurant up in or down in Iowa when
Yeah.
you were teasing Steve about his inability to get double ships. So Andrew, thanks a lot for joining us. We really appreciate it. Thank you very much for the Team Weeby T-shirt. And
Absolutely.
where can our viewers find these if they
They
like
get those
one?
Steve makes those available through his website, steveweeby.com.
Sweet.
And do you have
Yeah.
any other things available that maybe you want to plug for us real quick? For your business or no?
I don't. I really don't. Some people have contacted me about some type of a Galaga shirt, and I want to put one together. I created a very nice one, and I put it on eBay and got a stop immediately order from Namco, and I'm like, okay, for sure, absolutely, you know.
Yeah, the old C&D.
Some of the video game companies are really chasing people around if they reproduce that stuff on shirt, and rightfully so. I mean, it's their intellectual property and all of that. We've just seen some of the companies not really care, and so you roll the dice. But when you get that, so I would like to do something Galaga, but there are some licensing fees involved.
Okay. Well, again, thanks so much for joining us, Andrew, and congratulations on your record.
Great
No
job.
problem. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll see you down in Jersey in
You will.
March.
And in Iowa as well.
Sweet.
Of course.
We look
See you
forward to it.
Guys, take care.
Thanks. Yeah, you too.
Yep.